I still hear my soul is welcome here. Wow! Anyway, I want to thank Jean so much. I had a PowerPoint all ready to go with songs in it, and it's the weather. And it messed it up. So anyway, thank you, Jean, for fixing everything and getting some music in there, and it was just wonderful. I appreciate it. I have to tell you, the Daily Word was especially meaningful today. Last night, John and I filed our taxes. We e-filed. And we went to bed. We were so happy because for the first time in several years, we were getting a refund. So I got up about 4:45 this morning to go over my talk and everything. And when John got up, I said, "You had a text message on your phone. I have no idea who it could be from at 6 o'clock in the morning." It was from the IRS. Or actually from, I guess, H&R Block. And it said that they wouldn't accept our filing, that there was a mistake. And we went, and I told John, "Hold on. You need to read the Daily Word before you start getting all upset." So he did, and it said, financial hardships. Well, for some reason, they don't accept his birth date. They said he made a mistake on his birthday. So we have to, this afternoon, we'll get that all straightened out. But it was just kind of interesting to wake up to that this morning. I've been studying how to improve my attitude, how to become more Christ-filled and have the divine spirit in me. So the first talk that I did in January centered around myself, how I could grow. And then I knew that I needed to fix things with John, with my children, with my parents. I could be more loving, more kind, more thoughtful, more generous. So that's where I'm focusing today. I think it's especially appropriate because April has been designated Couples Appreciation Month. So, I had to laugh when I read this bulletin in a church, this announcement in the church bulletin where it said, "Ladies, don't forget the rummage sale. It's a chance to get rid of those things not worth keeping around the house. Don't forget your husbands." And I thought, oh boy, we've all had days like that with our partners, haven't we? I bet the secretary of that church really took some teasing for miswriting that announcement. Or was it a miswriting? That's up to you. Living with somebody 24/7 does create a lot of problems, issues, circumstances, challenges, whatever we want to call them. Sometimes we think differently, we behave differently, we've even lived differently, perhaps, than the person that we're living with. Two partners were in the kitchen together, and one partner said, "Can I help?" And the other one said, "Yes." He took a bag of potatoes and handed it over and said, "Can you peel half of these potatoes and put them in a pot of water to boil?" I wonder how that conversation ended. Anger, frustration, understanding. I guess it depends what they were going to be doing with those potatoes, but it's very, very interesting how you can say something and know perfectly well what you mean, and the other person interprets it in a completely different way. Couples list communication as their number one issue or problem in their marriages or their relationships. But according to the clinical psychologist Kelly Flanagan, couples communication is getting a bad name because it isn't necessarily always the communication in and of itself that's the problem. There are other issues from our childhood or from our lives that we bring into that relationship that cause the problems. And it's how we react to it that causes so many of our challenges. John's a Pisces, That's a water sign. I'm the Capricorn. I'm the earth. Together, Henny Youngman is the one who said it so well. When you put together an earth sign and a water sign, we can very often create mud. And we do. And I should have made a disclaimer that there is in no way, John, that I say anything in here to intend to hurt you, just to learn from it myself. Yeah, we've had our share of potato incidences in the kitchen. And, you know, other places too, but I'm a sensualist. I want my food to look exquisite. John's a realist. He just wants to get the food cooked and on the table and eat it. So, you know, we do make mud. The best thing to do probably would be to just let that mud dry up, sweep it up into a metaphorical dustpan, and throw it away. Oh no. We let our stubborn, his name is Stubborner, mine is Stubbornest. And we kind of let the mud build up so much that we're slogging around in it sometimes. So I've decided to name our mud, masking, covering up our feelings, what we're really thinking. Instead of telling the other person how we really feel, we mask it. We said, oh yeah, it's fine. Yeah. They'll say, ask me something, that's fine.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. Undervaluing. And I'm learning that I've been undervaluing myself, as well as undervaluing John. So I don't want to do that anymore either. And the D for denying my authentic self. I don't want to pretend anymore that nothing is wrong. So what do? I need to recognize that sometimes our relation issues are caused by shame baggage. Flanagan says that when those we love trigger the shame we have carried around since childhood, we blame them for creating those issues when it isn't their creation at all. It's something we've brought with us into the marriage and they're just triggering it. A woman was standing at her bedroom mirror and she looked and she says, oh, I feel fat, I feel ugly, I look old. I need you to pay me a compliment. The husband looks at her and says, well, your eyesight's certainly getting better. No, I don't think that's what she wanted to hear. And maybe, like I have, you've done something similar like that to your partner. Hopefully, like John, they've learned not to throw themselves on that particular grenade. He knows, having a counseling degree, that it's my own self-image that I need to work on by denying it and replacing it with self-love. There are 5 languages, love languages, according to Gary Chapman, who published a book called The 5 Love Languages in 1992. The first one is words of affirmation. It's really interesting because as I read over these, I thought, well, no wonder John and I have issues sometimes. I mean, we really love each other, but he speaks 3 of these love languages, and I speak the other 2 out of the 5. So it's no wonder that there have been miscommunications sometimes in our relationship. Anyway, the first one is words of affirmation. People with this love language greatly appreciate hearing compliments and encouraging words. That's me. They feel loved through what they hear and are pushed away by harsh criticisms. The next one, this is one of John's. Quality time. People with this love language prefer undivided attention and plenty of time with their loved ones. They feel loved when they have lots of time invested in them, But for people with this love language, absence does not make the heart grow fonder. The next one is receiving gifts. People with this love language appreciate receiving presents and the thought behind them. They feel loved when they are given gifts spontaneously and are greatly offended when special occasions are forgotten or a thoughtless gift is given. It's funny because I always heard of people forgetting their anniversaries, and I thought, how could that be true? But I guess it can be. The next one is acts of service. People with this love language prefer their loved ones to perform meaningful and thoughtful acts. It could be as simple as washing the dishes or mowing the lawn, but they appreciate it and feel valued by such deeds. However, they feel unappreciated when they work on a task while their partner just watches without offering to help. The last one is physical touch. People with this love language appreciate simple gestures like holding hands, snuggling together on the couch, hugs, or a touch on the arm. It's just about knowing that they're there and that you love them. An absence of physical contact has the potential to significantly damage relationships with people who speak this love language. I have for you copies of some affirmations. So I'm going to ask John to help me pass them out right now. And I want you to find one and turn to somebody and say one of those love affirmations. Just practice it. Just try it out. See what you think. And it's interesting because I had actually written this page of love affirmations before I even found this article about the 5 love languages. So I thought that was really serendipitous. Hopefully we have enough. Oop. We can make more later.
We have one extra. We have 2 extra.
Okay. It doesn't have to be, these don't have to be said to someone you're in a relationship with, a close, I mean, they can be said to your children, your parents, your co-workers. Thank you. I heard that too. Woohoo! All right, I want to hear them. Let's start speaking some words of affirmation here.
You are valuable. You make me smile. Your ideas are perfect. She's my friend here.
Just gonna keep walking on you can handle it.
That sounds good.
You make me smile.
All right.
Yes, mine too.
Yes, as Charles Fillmore said, the more we talk about love, the stronger it grows in the consciousness. If we persist in thinking loving thoughts and speaking loving words, we are sure to bring into our experiences the feeling of that great love that is beyond description, the very love of God. I love that quote from Dynamics for Living. Now, the way I see it, it certainly can't hurt, can it? Another way that we damage our relationships is with our egos. When we're young, our egos protect us from slings and arrows, bullies on the playground. But when we become adults, they can then become a wall that we rely on that keeps the other person out or from being able to get close to us. Flanagan says that it can make us defensive, vengeful, and capable of blaming the other person in order to make us feel powerful. And I know I have had a huge ego. A couple drove down a country road and they had gotten into a discussion and started arguing about it. Neither one would give in to the other, so they just started driving in silence. Pretty soon they passed a barnyard full of goats and pigs and mules. The one partner to the other said, "Relatives of yours?" And the other one said, "Indeed, in-laws." Yes, indeed. I haven't gone quite that far with my loved one, but I am ashamed to admit I have spoken sarcastically to him, as well as ridden in silence in the car all the way from Yuma to San Diego. It was not good. That's when I knew I needed to start the study.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Well, since you're talking about how to make relationships better, I have a friend who's dating someone, and he's really annoying, and also we're in middle school. But do you know how to break people up?
Pray.
Pray.
I think you can talk to the counselor over here after the service. He might have a good suggestion for you. Okay, that's John right there. Has his master's degree in marriage and family counseling. Anyway, the psychologist and author Paulo Coelho told the story about the Ice Age and how porcupines had to find a way to survive. First, they decided to group together and keep warm and protect each other. But unfortunately, their spiky quills made it kind of uncomfortable to stay in close proximity, so they moved apart. As some of them started to freeze, they decided that they needed to make a different choice. Stay apart and die, or they could learn to get a little prick now and then from a quill and survive. Well, they chose to stay together, knowing that small wounds that they received from each other was worth it in the end. I'm a porcupine. Have you ever been one? We're prickly, and so often we find a way to offend and take offense to those around us. The next time I'm hurt, or am hurt by porcupine behavior, I remember that I have spikes and can be challenging to live with, and so can they. So I'm going to try to follow this. Linda Martella Whitsett, who wrote Divine Audacity, says, "We make a valiant effort to resolve discord in our lives. We have a built-in intolerance for disharmony. Signals of discord arise within us from discordant thoughts and feelings, even when it appears the discord is outside of us, in the world around us, or in a particular circumstance. Fortunately, the ability to restore harmony is also innate. The harmonizing power of love within us is our capacity for harmonious thoughts, words, and actions regarding others and ourselves. Learn to trust and call forth from within ourselves the harmonizing power of love." No quills needed. We can get along. it's interesting because when I was reading back over these quotes, I noticed particular words like persist, strive for love. We persist in, if we make a valiant effort. And I thought, wow, this is hard work. It takes time and effort and conscious thought and desire to do it. But it made me think of the song that Amy Grant sang about, it takes a long time to turn the Titanic around. So I would say that I'm about here. Not all the way turned around yet, but I've moved my direction. I'm getting there. Self-affirmations. Well, now I would like you to try another thing, something that you can do with your loved one, or with anyone. In laughter yoga and also in other yogas and a lot of meditations, you use the 4-7-8 breathing technique. Will you help me, please? So instead of just doing the breathing, this is what I'm going to do next time if John and I start at each other. I'm going to say, let's breathe. And stop him in his tracks, or he can stop me in my tracks, probably more likely. And we're just going to squeeze hands together. So 1, 2, 3, 4 while we breathe in. And then I'm going to let him do the 7 count while we hold it. And then I'll do the 8 count while we release. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It's really hard for me to count and breathe in and out. So make sure that you breathe in through your nose. Hold it for 7 while your partner squeezes, and then you can go. Okay, so get your partner.
We'll triple up.
Hey, find somebody. Ready? Here we go. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't forget to squeeze and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here we go again. Breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time. I think you've got it. Inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Good. Wonderful. How do you feel? Kind of hard to be mad at somebody after you've done that together, huh? So let's learn to live with the sharp quills of others and hope and pray that those around us can adapt and live with ours. A third relationship snag is the fact that life is messy. Relationships are going to be messy too. When things stop going our way, we blame our partner and start pointing fingers. I don't like to do that anymore because when I point a finger, there's 3 of them pointing back at me. A woman went down to Mexico for some dental treatment. She lived in Flagstaff. So on her way home, she decided to go all back roads and enjoy the trip home. So she saw an elderly Navajo woman walking along the side of the road. So she stopped and asked if she could give her a ride. So the Navajo woman got in the car, and she just stayed very, very quiet, even though the driver tried to strike up a conversation with her. Finally, the elderly Navajo woman looked over and said, "What's in that bottle? What's in that bag?" And she said, "Oh, that's a bottle of tequila. I got it from my husband." And the Navajo woman just nodded and she said, "Good trade." Isn't it sad that society gives us permission to pack our bags, call a lawyer, or just even maybe want to trade our spouse away or our partner away? I think about the married man who went to see a therapist. And he said, "When we first got married, everything was great. I felt like God. Somehow, the letters of the alphabet got reversed."
Oh, Doug.
And that's how I feel now. I don't feel a love for my wife anymore. The therapist looked at him and he said, "Well, when was the last time you acted loving toward her?" "You don't understand," he said. "I don't love her anymore. I don't feel anything." You didn't answer my question. I asked, when was the last time you acted with love? And you're not hearing me. I don't feel love for her anymore. "Well," said the therapist, "and I think you misunderstand love. Because love is not a feeling, it's an action. You think if you feel something for her, then you'll do something for her. But it's actually the other way around. If you start doing loving things for her, I guarantee you will begin to feel loving toward her again." Surprisingly enough, it worked. Winifred Wilkinson Hausman is a Unity minister and author, and she writes in Let There Be Love, "In Divine Mind, love is the ideal of universal harmony and unity, that which binds together the whole of God's creation into one harmonious unit, so that even the tiniest movement of a person's finger displaces atoms out in space." So in Divine Audacity, or 12 powers, love is pink. The power of love is pink. So I have this piece of paper. It has 4 corners. If I cut off one of the corners, how many will I have?
5.
How many will I have left?
5.
3. Find out. You think that I'm going less, but actually I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dave is correct. Have you seen this before, Dave?
No.
He's
Not
just
this one.
smart.
He is smart.
Smart.
So I end up with more love than I gave away. In the meantime, let's say I'm giving my love to John. I am giving my love to John. How many corners of love do you have?
1, 2, 3.
Okay, and if you cut off a corner, how many will you have?
I'll have 5.
Are you sure?
Whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4. And if I cut off another corner, Now how many do I have?
6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My love's growing. What happens if you give away some of yours?
It will grow.
Why don't you try? I have one more pair of scissors. What do you want to give some love to? Where's the corner you cut off? We keep growing. We keep going, we keep growing. If I cut one more corner off, now how many will I have? I had how many? 6?
6, yeah.
There are 7. So it keeps growing, and if I kept giving away my love, what's eventually going to happen to this rectangle? It will become a circle of unending love.
Wow.
And in the meantime, John's is going to become a circle. If you keep cutting, keep giving it away, they'll all become circles. Think how much love we here at Unity send out into the universe if we consciously speak our love affirmations to each other. Or the other love languages, the quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, or physical touch. I know how much I love hugs. I'm going to stop pointing fingers, mindful of those 3 that are pointing back at me, and start intertwining them with John, my children, my parents. I'm going to cut off corners of my love squares and share them every day. I'm going to breathe 4, 7, 8 to stop negative behavior and replace it with affirmations of self-love and love affirmations to John. I'm going to reclassify my mud. I don't want to mask anymore. I want to be a mature person who's not bringing the ego, the messy life, the shame baggage, whatever, from my childhood into my relationship anymore. I want to go from undervaluing myself to understanding that I have Christ in me. I am filled with divine love. I want to stop denying my authentic self and change it to development of my authentic self by making sure that every day I'm growing as a person who has I am attitude. Then I can walk through and into and through our messy life, radiating love from within, loving the Christ in all persons and all things, not just John. I will, because it is my nature to love, and because he first loved us. And I'll leave you with this thought. Thank you very much.
Your ideas are great.
And I put thank you at the bottom because that's probably one of the most important ones, and we don't ever really think to say it to people enough. Is this one to go with? Is this the offering?
I don't like that.